What's happening, guys? Thanks for checking out my channel. This is Living in Alberta, and today we are going to venture a little bit farther south of Red Deer. We're going to take a look at a smaller town. Let's take a look at the pros and the cons of living in Innisfail, Alberta. What's happening, guys? My name is Kyle. Welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. Thanks so much for tuning in again. On this channel, we break down everything when it comes to moving to or living in Alberta. So if you do want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell so you are notified every single week when a new video comes out. And if you would like any help with your real estate needs, I am a licensed realtor in the province. You can use this information popping up on the screen. Get a hold of me any way you know how. All right, with that being said, let's get into it. Let's kind of talk a little bit about Innisfail before we get started. Innisfail's got roughly just under 8,000 people. We'll throw up a map here so you can see exactly where it's located. You're about 20-25 minutes south of Red Deer, literally right off Highway 2. And that kind of leads us into the first pro/con, depending on how you want to look at this. Innisfail is literally right off Highway 2, as I just said. We'll throw up some drone footage so you can see exactly how close, but when you are on that east side of town, because it is so close to the highway, that highway noise, and there's just a constant hum of noise coming from Highway 2, and it's very noticeable when you're on the east side of Innisfail. Now, depending on whether you're a half glass full or a half glass empty type of person, you could also look at this as being a potential pro of living in Innisfail. So literally within minutes of driving, you're on Highway 2. If you need to go to Red Deer for whatever reason, quick trip, you can head south. You're not too far from Calgary. Or if you want to head to the mountains, whatever it is, wherever you're going. And people can kind of look at that as being really plugged in, super easy access. You don't have pretty much any drive at all before you're heading to where it is that you need to go. But if you are thinking of moving to Innisfail and highway noise is, something that's going to bother you, you want a little more peace, you want a little more quiet, that east side of town is definitely affected by that highway noise. So you may want to consider living a little bit farther on the west side of town. All right, let's move into some good news. Let's talk about one of the pros of living in Innisfail. And it's just, it is a bit of a smaller town, just under 8,000 people, but there is still a ton of stuff to do for families and kids there. So there is really a hidden gem in Innisfail. It's called Discovery Wildlife Park. It is this zoo that is right off the highway just north of Innisfail, and they have some phenomenal stuff there. They got bears, they got coyotes. Sorry, there's no coyotes. They got wolves. Man, the wolves would be pissed at me if they heard me call them coyotes. They got some animals there that you wouldn't expect you were going to see here in central Alberta, like lions. They got movie star bears.
Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
They run educational programs for kids. They do shows there. If you don't feel like walking, you can rent a golf cart and rip around the zoo. Discovery Wildlife Park is an awesome zoo here in central Alberta. Kids love it. My kids love going there. I love going there. So a really great place to check out. There's also the Innisfail Historical Village. So right in the middle of town, there is a 2-acre plot. They have tons of old buildings, old cars, old fire trucks. It highlights the times up to about the 1930s. And the staff there are phenomenal. They were super accommodating when I was there trying to get footage for this video. They were super nice and friendly and gave me full access to the grounds. So another really cool place. It's one of the biggest museums in central Alberta. So another really cool place to check out. And one place that I didn't even know existed is the Dino Center. So the Dino Center is just a few minutes south of Innisfail, and obviously it's a dinosaur museum, but they have some really cool things going on there. There's actually an immersive laser tag. It's got a flowing river, a waterfall. They got these animatronic dinosaurs, so you're shooting dinosaurs, you're shooting other people. It's a really cool immersive experience. They have a driving range for dad, you know, maybe you don't want to go into the dinosaur museum, you just want to hit some balls, so that's a great option too. They got an escape room, they got tons of stuff there. So Innisfail, even though it's a smaller town, it has a ton of things to do for families and kids. And for all you golf lovers out there, Innisfail has one of the nicest golf courses in central Alberta. It's one of my favorite courses. It's got 27 holes. However, if you can't hit that driver straight, I would recommend leaving it in the bag. I can hit my driver a long way, but I usually leave it in the bag in Innisfail and just hit my irons off the tee because, man, those fairways, they are tight. I mean, if you can't keep it straight, you're gonna be in the trees. So keep the driver in the bag if you golf anything like me. All right, let's move along to the next one, and this can be considered a bit of a con of living in Innisfail. Sometimes in these smaller towns, you get really lucky when it comes to shopping and amenities. I always like to use Olds, Alberta for an example. It was just a little bit farther south along the highway. Olds is one of those unicorns. Even though it's only got maybe 2,000 or 3,000 more people than Innisfail, you still have tons of the bigger box stores like Home Depot, Walmart, Canadian Tire, Staples. In Innisfail, you're not gonna have any of that stuff. It's gonna be your typical, you know, smaller grocery stores, not smaller, but your normal grocery stores like No Frills, Sobeys. You're gonna have your local mom and pop stores, your hardware stores, but you're not getting lucky in Innisfail and having a lot of those big box stores there, or you know, the occasional big box store that shows up in those smaller towns like Walmarts and things like that. I mean, you're not very far from Red Deer, literally 20, 25 minutes. You're in the south end of Red Deer, maybe even 20 minutes to Gasoline Alley, which is where there is a ton of, you know, awesome shopping. That's where Costco and all that stuff is. So not a very far trip, but you know, in the wintertime when those roads are shitty, you know, you'll be, you know, if you need to go into Red Deer for that reason, or for whatever reason, just something to keep in mind. You're not going to be getting lucky in Innisfail when it comes to shopping and amenities, just your standard smaller town shopping and amenities. All right, let's move along to the next one. And I think this is a pro of Innisfail, Alberta. When you first drive into the east side, it's really, really super close to Highway 2. Kind of seems a little bit industrial as you're coming in off the highway. As you get farther over to the west side, and you really start to see that the town is actually quite beautiful. So there is a couple lakes within town. Again, they're not actual lakes. I don't know if you're going to be swimming in them or not.
I want you to swim in a lake.
Let's go!
But there's Dodds Lake and there's Napoleon Lake. Beautiful walking trails all around them with parks, lots of big trees throughout the west side of town, and even on the east side of town. East side of town is also beautiful. It's the older section, but you know, again, you do have that highway traffic that's going to be there. But getting back to Dodds and Napoleon Lake, when I was out there shooting video for this, or shooting footage for this video, there was people out kayaking. There was tons of people in the parks using the walking trails, people out running. So it's kind of deceiving. I used to work the ambulance in Innisfail, and I didn't even realize how pretty it was the farther west you went. So a lot of the times, some of these towns, you know, it's in the middle of the prairies here in central Alberta, and sometimes they're not that, I don't know, I guess scenic or beautiful. You don't have to worry about that when it comes to Innisfail. It's very, very pretty. Lots of old growth trees, lots of walking trails, bodies of water throughout the town. Makes it very scenic and a very beautiful small town. I also forgot to add, when we were talking about what's available in Innisfail when it comes to shopping, amenities, and other things, Innisfail does have its own hospital, which is a bonus. So again, I used to work the ambulance there. They have a really good hospital. One of the weird things about that hospital is it's the only ambulance bay that I've ever seen where you actually have to back in. And so we'd pull up, we'd have a patient. If it wasn't too serious, obviously, we were just going through the front doors, because you literally had to do a 6-point turn. You had to back into that bay, and you had about that much space on either side of your mirror. But yes, Innisfail does have a hospital there, so that is awesome for people looking to have healthcare close by. And something I also forgot to add when it comes to things to do in Innisfail, they have a very popular skydiving. It's called Big Sky Skydiving here right in central Alberta. Really popular spot. Lots of the guys in the fire department love going there, going skydiving. Some of those crazy bastards, man, they're even getting into the wingsuit stuff. I mean, I consider myself to be a little bit of a thrill seeker, at least I did back in my younger days. I've gotten the ring boxing, and I've gotten the ring doing mixed martial arts. But when it comes to jumping out of a plane, man, I don't even like flying, so there's no way in hell I'm jumping out of a plane, let alone putting on a squirrel suit or a skydiving suit and flying down the side of a mountain. But super popular area for skydiving with Big Sky, Alberta in Innisfail. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Like I said, I was getting a ton of requests for a video about Innisfail. Smaller town, just under 8,000 people. You're not going to have a ton of the shopping amenities that come with living, obviously that comes with living in a smaller town. You do have a hospital. There's still lots of things to do for families there. It's a beautiful smaller town with lots of scenery and lots of beauty. And you're literally right off Highway 2. So it can be looked at as a pro or a con depending on what your perspective is on that. Highway noise can be a little bit loud on the east side of town, but you're also super close. So anywhere you need to go, it's a super quick trip. You are super plugged in to the biggest highway in Alberta. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and definitely click that notification bell. And as always, if you would like any help with the real estate needs, I am a licensed realtor in the province. You can give me a shout using this information popping up on the screen right now. Get a hold of me any way you know how. All right, I will see you guys next week. Cheers.